All right, we were back on the case. The rumors of my demise have been greatly overstated. There we go. How about a little volume? Man, I got the flaming lights of heaven back there on the back wall. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Welcome to your Wednesday. As Stephen, the Piscatarian, has mentioned, it is Happy Hump Day. We're going to do the Humpty Dance today. Doing the Humpty Dance. Doing the Humpty Dance. I love Digital Underground for a minute. For about a minute. The Humpty Dance was classic. Although the lead singer, Greg, what's his name, was not a good dude. And you know, the real star of Digital Underground, everybody knows it's Tupac Shakur. Coming out of Marin City, the hard streets of Marin City. Anyway, welcome to the show. And Ode Kobe, getting a little dose of Venus Jupiter this morning. A lovely tandem in the skies. No doubt. Let's see, who do we have here? There he is, Mr. DJ MC, Michael Sisterino. Big Dave Sullivan, one of our... Dave, did you call yourself a Sooner? But not everybody from Oklahoma is a Sooner. That's what I've come to find out, because there's other affiliations there. But the Sooner is the one that I think is the most prevalent with your state. Who else? Benito Diaz, what's going on, Benito? Good to see you, brother. Moon Villain, catching live right now. Night's Light. Hey, I just wanted to get back to you, Night's Light. You were talking about the rectification of Nick Fuentes' chart the other night as a Libra rising. I could see that. I could definitely see that. That made some sense with Aries on the 7th house cusp. I could see that. I'd love to get some insight as to how you came about that. Maybe you can text me over on Twitter. Love to figure out how you got that. But I can see that, especially with that Aries in the 7th house, getting down and arguing about it. There she is, the lovely stock maven, Jackie Delario. Jackie Delario is just cleaning up in the market. We're playing scratch offs, and Jackie Delario is playing Monopoly with real money. Tom Jordan's in the house. What's going on, Tom? Mark S., the great Mark S. Hang in. Wisconsin is pleasantly cool. Good. We have gray skies again. Gray skies. Now, the only thing that remains in Kerrville are the big earth machines. The rescue efforts have mostly ceased. Those that have gone missing are probably forever missing. That's just got to be weird. I mean, finding somebody who's passed is at least some form of closure. But when somebody's missing, it's just a weird thing. It's like you could be walking down the street and all of a sudden you see somebody that may resemble the person that's been missing. And it's just like, that'd be really strange to deal with. Really, really strange. Just no closure. So that's what we have left. It's mostly the bigger the big earth movers getting the trees and most of the debris out of the way. as we dig ourselves out of the flood of the century. Liddy Lou's here. What's going on, Liddy from McKinney? Liddy from McKinney. If you feel like buying yours truly a cup of coffee, you can do that right here. Today I'm drinking dandelion tea. I never knew it could taste so good. Has kind of an oaty straw flavor to it. I'm liking it. The lovely and talented one, she's here. Saving Austin one tooth at a time. Green Eyed Crow. So you got a little Bowie thumbnail there. I dig it. Aladdin Sane. Hello from Spicy, Utah. I bet you Utah's got some interesting people. Let's put it that way. The Bisu's here. Hi, the Bisu. Laura E. Hi, Laura E. Ore Kobe. Yes, Venus, Jupiter. Today is Odin's Day. Yes. Tomorrow's Thor's Day. Let's see. Gaia Dance. What's going on, Gaia? Huge thanks from Virgo Sag in New Zealand. Well, thank you back. Sharon Lewis is here. Mars and last degree of Virgo for a few months. Right on my sun. Mars is right on my sun. What is it? Don't touch me, because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. Mars Kinshon, the sun. The safety dance. I love the safety dance. Devin Dewar, what's going on, Double D? Good to see you. The build-up to the full moon has my sinus acting. Well, if it's just for sinus, you don't like the sinus. Anyone else diving into the history of their town recently? Interesting. I mean, I have, but not recently. I don't find the origins of Kerrville all that compelling. The origins of Fredericksburg are much more interesting. German community, right? Scrambling to get away from the revolutions of 1849. They were answering ads. They were putting ads in the paper to come to Texas and come work the land, and they did. And the people from Fredericksburg the people from Germany were interesting, and they were kind of two groups. One group was definitely more on the Marxist side, and they were called the Free Thinkers. And then another group was just more of the I don't know, German Catholic, I suppose, side of things. Put your till in the ground. Very different kind of ideologies, for sure. And so there were people that were here in this part of the world that actually tried to set up communist or socialist communities. There was one called, it's the strangest name I've ever fucking heard. Baby Doll. The Baby Head. There was an actual community started by these free thinkers called Baby Head. Now, it's not there anymore. I don't think, the problem with the Marxists is that everybody wants to be the boss and nobody wants to be the worker, right? Everybody wants to be the chief. Nobody wants to be the squaw or just the regular Indian. And a lot of those Marxist sort of experimental colonies, they didn't do well. They had to move and integrate into some of the other areas. There's Fredericksburg, which is the largest. And then there's these two towns called New Braunfels And then Fredericksburg was named after King Frederick. And then next to Braunfels, you have an area called Green, although it's not spelled green, it's spelled Greune. It's more like Groom. But these people, they really thrived, and their history is kind of interesting. It's not my history, but what they had to go through in order to actually set up a community here is like not easy. I mean, they were dealing with the Comanche, the Apache, rattlesnakes, scorpions, weather hotter than they've ever experienced before. I mean, you had to really be a certain stock to cut it. And, and Fredericksburg it's a tourist city. And literally, it's a tourist city, but it's a tourist city. And I feel like if you're gonna, carve out some land like that, you need that tourist energy. You can't quit. You can't give up. And land is really an important component. Kerrville is a kooky Aquarian city. And Kerrville's actually they don't have the same influx of the Germans, with the exception of Schreiner, the Schreiner family. And not Shriner like the Shriners, but Schreiner, Schreiner. And they're one of the founding families of Kerrville. So they have Schreiner University. They had a bunch of Schreiner stuff. And they happen to be German. But the people who set up Kerrville, I think, are more like Scotch-Irish. Hence the name Kerr. Right? Kerr is not a German name. But the claim to fame here in Kerrville is that this is where Dark City was founded, also known as HEB. So I could go further, but you'd probably get bored. The German stuff is fascinating because when they come here, it's right at that Tartarian timeline, 1849, 1850, 1851. And there's a civil war going on. And the Confederates want these German kids to go fight against the Union. And so the families would send their kids, their boys, out and try to get them to Mexico because they didn't want them to fight. Right? They're like, hey, we got no skin in this game. We just got here. We don't know which side to pick, right? So some of them actually got picked up, and unfortunately were put into some kind of conscription. So that was not easy, right? All of a sudden you get here, you find out you're in the middle of a war, and you got to get your kids away so that they don't take them. You'll kill them off in the stupid fucking war. And then you got the Indians, and there are a number of books where people have been literally kidnapped by the Indians and raised by them. And they're amazing books. I think the movie Little Big Man with Dustin Hoffman was made. In fact, I'm pretty sure. All right, we got Christina Maria. She's in the house. Jane Addams. You have Tupac, All Around the World. Same song was his intro. There you go. Lisa Ann White's here. What's up? Lisa Ann White. Yeah, if you like the show, hit the like. That's always a nice thing. Appreciate it. It's not Comet anymore. No tail now. What? I'm going for Alien Psyop. That's what I'm going for. Alien Psyop. Beware the alien psyop. Barbara Boots is here. Hey, if you live in a historic town, some of the stories of these cities and the people that founded them are pretty interesting. You missed the thumbnail. Oh, it's a sphinxy Sphinxy liony thing. I'm always here to burn it down. Okay. Well, that's good. Just give us a heads up so we can head for the exits before everything starts on fire. Esperanza Vens Tarot. Like to see them Sooners when they lose. Ah, see? Not everybody's a Sooner in Oklahoma. Look at that. Gen Z, each end kids. Thanks heaps for the insight share for Gen Z. Yes. Yeah, it was kind of revelatory when you look at it through the lens of Nick Fuentes and those outer planets and what's going on. It's pretty revelatory. Peas and butter. What's up, peas and butter? Let's see. You think they found everyone? Well, that would be great. That would be mission accomplished. Thank you. Morning back at you, Susan. Privacy anti-scum. No earbuds in public, so I'm chat only. So my bagels are ready. What do you put on your bagel? First of all, what's your go-to bagel? Is it a simple bagel, plain? Is it an onion bagel? Is it an everything bagel? Is it sesame? Like, what's your go-to bagel, privacy anti-scum? I'd love to hear that. Alaska Raven. Oh, there's Lorianne from Minnesota. Hi, Lorianne. Alaska Raven flipjack soup salad sandwiches. I don't know what it is, but it sounds delicious. Scrubbies is here. Name checking. Most of the people are MIA these days, and still life goes on. Steve, you make an amazing point there. There are a lot of people who are just missing in action. And yet, life still goes on. Great call. I'd like to drink roasted dandelion root tea. That sounds really good. Really good. Cosglow, what's going on, Cosglow? Brandy Herrera's back. Yes, Rob. Interesting people in Utah is one way to put it. I'll just say you'd never be bored people. I'm sure. I just think Utah is like eccentric, like center. Eccentric center. You like doing the Humpty Dance. Doing the Humpty Dance was fun. Who would want to do the Humpty Dance? Let's see what else. We're getting close. We're getting close. Hey, JJ. Yes, and why haven't I found Jean Lafitte's treasures beyond me? I've buried enough pets. Where's my gold? I've been down around there, that area, that like Louisiana kind of on the edge of Texas. I've been down there. I went on a crocodile tour down there. It was very fun. Barbara watched a video about the German language club exploring the remaining German speakers. It's different. It's a different kind of German. I've seen those videos. Let's see. What else we have here? Kanye was murdered. Anyone else has helped at least 100 million souls. Yeah, a lot of those communists got a lot of their. When you go deep into commie land, like it gets, and you start seeing who the players are. Like we know that there's Stalin, we know that there's Mao, but when you start to look behind Stalin and Mao, particularly Mao, it's like holy shit. Those whom you least expected. You know, this brings up a really interesting point about Ronald Reagan. And I was never a Ronald Reagan fan. Never a Ronald Reagan fan. Did I like Democrats? No, I thought they were fucking goofy. But everybody was trying to sell me. I'm voted in my first election, and everybody's trying to sell me Ronald Reagan. And I'm not buying Reagan. I lived in California. He was our governor. I didn't really like him as the governor. So why should I like him as president? And when you look back on Reagan's legacy, there are a couple things that really stand out. That if you want to get like super granular with him, let's just say it's a good thing that the Soviet Union and the wall fell when it did. Reagan removed any kind of liability for big pharma with vaccines. It was in 1984. And once that happened, the vaccine schedule went through. That's Reagan's legacy. Okay, Reagan's legacy starts there. He gives a large number of quote unquote illegal migrants amnesty. It's huge, right? And from that point forward, the message from people down south get to California. George Bush will take that one step further and dramatically lighten the migration laws for the United States. But Reagan sets it all up. And then Reagan's the first guy that really gets in on gun control. Thanks to, of course, what happens with this assassination attempt, Jim Brady and all that stuff. So that was already in my head around Reagan. I'm just like, man, it's a good thing Russia decided to sell McDonald's, or else this guy's legacy is a lot different. So our good friend Neil sent me a clip of this guy who was involved. He was like a comptroller for the state of California. And I think he also ran successfully for representative. He went down the Reagan rabbit hole. And when you go down the Reagan rabbit hole, basically what you find is that Ronnie was a commie. I mean, he was an internationalist, globalist commie. And so when these people lionize Reagan and how great he is, and you go through and look at the things that he passed, and also the affiliations that he had to get them there, you'd be rethinking Reagan for sure, right? Like I think he's way, way, way overrated as far as presidents go. That's just me being a heretic. It's spelled green in German. Yeah, it's green. Lamb chop. Last day I can be here. Why is that, lamb chop? I'm gonna miss you. Was it something I said? Okay, now I hear audio. Listening on the 1000 XP King of Chatari, the Duke of Texas. I tried my best. Fredericksburg didn't need my help. They didn't need my help at all. Green, that means green in German. Yes, it's true. Absolutely. It's a nice place. You got Shiner. Shiner is the Czechs. I think they're Czechs. Those are Czech people. The Shiner Bach. They're Czech people. Steve is at Hardy's German, Scott Irish. Catherine Rose is here. Hi, Catherine. What's up, CR? Good to see you. I want to see why Lamb Chop's not going to be here. I'm suggesting it's the Rapture. Could be. Or some version of it. I heard that there are alien cats on board. Geez, aren't cats alien enough? Are they coming back to take them with them or invade? Howdy, Lost 99. Good to see you. Let's see. Yep, if you're into a reading, that's what I do. Thank you, Tom. Road Atlas is here. I want to know why Lamb Chop is leaving us. Hi, Janine. Good to see you. Yeah, all cats are aliens. 100%. I'm a fan of strawberry cream cheese, jam on a cinnamon raisin bagel. I could roll with that. I could definitely roll with that. There he is. There's Neil Smith. Are we almost done here? I just want to see why. Is anyone going to be in Dallas for the Bridge Expo? I'll be there. Ms. Batavian 2 is here. Janine likes cream cheese, lox, capers on a bagel. That's a winner. That is a winner. I would not turn that down. For sure. Let's see. I think we're pretty much caught up. I'm just trying to figure out why Lamb Chop is leaving. Oh, back to work. Oh, okay. Good for you. A lot of people are having a hard time finding work. Reagan, what was he good at? Speech delivery. I've listened to Carvin before and Johnson. Well, that's what they called him, right? The master communicator. Well, it's not my guy. Not my guy. Diane Evans there. So is Kevin Stick-Evers. What's up, Miga? Mike is from Council Bluffs. It's Mike Carson. I'm Mike Carson. Okay. Hey, I'm okay. Billions of animals get slaughtered every day just to oppose our taste. We have the same attitude to our precious pets. Depends on how hungry we were. And let's not get all the vegan activism in here. Let's keep it on the less polemic side. All right. Let's do. If you die, your cats and pigs will eat you. Janice ain't lying about that. She ain't lying. Let's do some weather. Thanks for being here. All right. So we're almost at the Lionsgate, which I do not put a lot of credence in. And the reason why I don't is because we did a Lionsgate. We did a Lionsgate kind of group exercise a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. It was disaster for those people. I mean, a real disaster. I didn't really engage that much, although to be fair, it was my idea, so I did. But it wasn't anything tremendous. But there were some people who actually experienced very negative effects. So I would be a little discerning around this Lionsgate. Just my 2 cents. All right, let's start with the lion. Here we go. Sun, Leo. We're still there. Second decan, right? Sagittarius, hitting that 14th degree. You know, once we get into the 14th degree, well, once we get into like the 10th and 11th degree, you know, now we're into major arcana with tarot, right? You know what the 14th card in the major arcana is? It's Temperance. It's actually a beautiful card. It represents balance and harmony. finding the middle path. You have the two containers. Let's take a look at the temperance. Let's see this. Here's some images of temperance. Right there. Okay. You see what I'm talking about? Right. Unlike Aquarius, where the cistern is turned over, here the angel of temperance is essentially performing basically an air ritual with the water, right? This is oxygenating the water, right? It's going back and forth, and back and forth, back and forth. And there's an accumulation that's taking place here. It's not the accumulation of the water; it's the accumulation of the energy around temperance. So today's one of those days where practicing some degree of temperance, whether it's through your diet, through your actions, it can be a very powerful tool, right? So we're just bringing a little bit of something different today with that 14-degree Leo sun. Like, today's one of those days where you don't have to win, right? You don't have to win. You can be moderate in your response. You don't have to get the last word in. Sometimes, I feel like what's happened is that a lot of times people have just got to this, well, what the fuck phase. Well, what the fuck does it matter? Why does it matter? They're just going to roll out these soul-crushing programs where everything's going to be completely digitized, and Sam Altman will know the exact makeup, temperature, and chemical compound of your feces, because you'll have a smart toilet and they'll be able to glean all kinds of information from that. I'm kind of joking, but I'm also going to be serious. And so we live in a world where it's kind of on full tilt boogie. But today's one of those days where you can be the center of the storm. I think a temperate response to how you interact with others would be quite good. Quite good. Leo's benevolent, isn't it? That's the whole thing with Leo. It's benevolent. Back in the old days, they would do the gladiator fights, and somebody would lose, and they would be looking at whoever the Caesar was, and they would do this, and they'd go, oh, right. That's not being benevolent. That's being benevolent. It's like, so you are Caesar today, and you can do thumbs up. You can do thumbs up. Mars is at 29. There you go. And we're in that grand trine now. We are in that grand trine. Look at that. Tomorrow, Mars goes into Libra, and boy, oh boy, there's going to be a lot of people with big causes, big chips on their shoulders. And some of them will be imaginary, like a Mars-Neptune opposition. It's like tilting at windows. What are you really going up against? Mars-Saturn opposition, that's different. And that is definitely a conflict between authority, right, and then theoretically the balanced rights of the individual. And what's interesting is that they're both, it's like Saturn. Uh, Saturn in Aries is in its fall, and Mars in Libra is in its detriment. So you have these two planets that are opposing one another, and one's in its fall and one's in its detriment. And it's just a bit of an explosive cocktail, if you know what I mean, right? And it feels to me like people are on the hunt. You know, that's what I'm getting. People are on the hunt. They're looking for scapegoats. They're looking for somebody, something, right? Some kind of justice to prevail. And it all kicks off tomorrow. Now, Mars will be at that 0, 1, 2 degrees all the way up through the weekend. So I think we're just getting cooking here. And usually what happens and what sets this stuff off is somebody is either shot, killed, harassed, and it's captured, right? It's like TikTok 24/7, makes it over to X, right? This is how things get really inflammatory, really, really inflammatory. So I just keep thinking back on this thing with Cincinnati that happened last week with this jazz festival, and how, in many ways, how needless that was in terms of who was fighting, how they were fighting, right? And in a lot of ways, that Neptune Mars opposition is really a calling card for that event. There's a huge misunderstanding. Well, I suppose when somebody drops the N-bomb, that's not a huge misunderstanding. But it's going to be interesting to see the fallout. There's already some fallout. And what's interesting is that 2 or 3 years ago, okay, an event like that would have happened, and there would have been, just dozens of pundits just kind of explaining that away, or you'd have some kind of scholar or some sort of professor sort of explaining that away, and then you would have the aggrieved community. Now, this is where it gets weird, right? Because the guy that got beaten up was Russian, and he wasn't like some white cracker, that is hanging out in Cincinnati. So it's going to be interesting to see how people identify with the victims, and because it's a weird thing, right? Like, supposedly we're at war with Russia, and we're supposed to hate everything Russian, and now there are these new sanctions Trump is putting on India because they're buying fuel from Russia and then selling it to Europe, and Trump wants to, it's like, it's their business. They can do whatever the fuck they want. It's their country, right? It is their country. But there seems to be a general animus towards Russia or Russians in general. So I just wonder how much of a backlash there will be. The one thing I will say about Cincinnati is that the Cincinnati Reds were owned by Marge Schott at one point in time. She was the heiress of the Schott Brewery. And I think Marge had a picture of Hitler in her office. She's a German. Marge, they eventually, this is weird, they eventually had to get rid of her because her views on religion and ethnicity were not in alignment with MLB. So you know that there is some of that element in Cincinnati, but it doesn't necessarily have to be Cincinnati, right? Something happened, something ruptured, and people are getting to this point where they've just had enough. I mean, you can hear it clearly from the so-called Black community in that squabble. Like you mess with us. This is what those days are over now, right? I mean, you keep hearing this very angry rhetoric, right? And I'm just wondering how much of this ticking time bomb is going to go off here, whether it's Cincinnati or Dayton, Ohio, or Louisville, Kentucky, right? Like, this is a ticking time bomb. And we're not quite back in Black Lives Matter territory, but it's kind of being ramped up and played up again. So with this Mars opposition with Neptune and Saturn, that to me is a major red flag. Don't believe what you see, right? Some of what you're going to see over the next 72 hours will get you really, really riled up. Just don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into the loosh machine. Okay? Wait a little bit. Wait a day, maybe 2 days, because this Mars Neptune opposition is just ripe for complete delusion. Absolute complete delusion. For you star watchers tomorrow, you'll still be able to see that Venus Jupiter conjunction throughout the rest of the week. And when Venus gets real close, well, they'll be kissing cousins, won't they? Right up there in the sky. So yeah, check that out. A little pre-dawn action for everybody. The moon is moved into Capricorn, and there's not a lot of time for messing around or fooling around. Like, no tomfoolery with that moon in Capricorn, especially in the 5th house. When I think of moon in Capricorn in the 5th house, I think of who is it? Snow White, Cinderella, right? She's the one that's got the 3 sisters, and she's the Ash Maid, and her mother is just a complete bitch. I'm not saying, hey, if you have moon in Capricorn in the 5th house, that's who you. I just think that that's kind of the mom. That's it's like, go sweep the chimney, Cinderella. While her not so good looking girls get to go to the ball. Hey, look, somebody's got to have a moon in Capricorn. Somebody's got to be able to do church. It's just the way it is. It's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it. But guess what? As you get older, it gets easier. So everybody else is aging out and you're climbing peaks, right? We do have a square going on. It's a wide square. It's at 9 degrees. By the end of the day, that'll dissolve. The moon will separate. So we have a moon Neptune square, a moon Saturn square. To me, it's like there's just not a lot on the table. There's another image I'm getting for this moon in Capricorn, and it's kind of a version of a Dust Bowl mother, trying to make do with whatever they have, which isn't much, right? And again, it's in that fifth house, which is not a lot of fun. There's some austerity there. And that wide moon square to Saturn is kind of depressing, but you keep moving on, you keep pressing on, you keep, having to be strong and get through it, right? And the moon Neptune square is almost like shoving your pain down in some ways. Because people around you are suffering, but there's nothing you can do about it, right? So will your suffering relieve their suffering? I mean, this is how I see this. And this is kind of the energy in the air right now. It's very utilitarian. The opposition with Venus and Jupiter, that's kind of interesting. It's kind of, it's like, hey, look, there's some other energy available. You don't have to take it all on yourself. And even just looking at it, in this chart, in the 11th house, there's some potential for support there. But again, we have another hard square, Venus Saturn. It's okay if you're working through relationship issues or trying to whittle away at the detritus that keeps you from bonding with another person or seeing your relationship clearly, because Venus is also squaring Neptune, so you have to take the rose-colored glasses off. This is a complex day. There's a lot going on here. Well, there's a lot going on. If I were to give you a strategy for today, it would be practice the temperance. And if you have a task at hand that you need to get done, do not wait any longer. Don't put it off. Do it. Get it done. And not only will you get it done, it will be more interesting than you think, because you've got this Mars-Uranus trine, Mars-Pluto trine. Like this is a really good time to just say, fuck it. I gotta finish this. And you'll have to work through some things, right? You have to work through sort of laziness with that Mars-Neptune opposition. But once you get going, you can get really cooking here. So for you creative types or people who have projects that you have to finish and put them off, get into it today, because you'll find something interesting. You'll learn something, and you're going to grow, because one of the things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to ask somebody for some help, and that'll be okay. Don't stress out about it. It's a good way to bond. Okay, that's about it for the weather. Let's bring the banner in. There we go. All right. There she is, your True Hemp Science star of the day, Lucille Ball. So you guys know the drill, True Hemp Science. Your one-stop shop for all things CBD. And one of the things that I have, over the last couple of days, I've been really ramping up on a lot of other herbs the last few days. But I've got to integrate some of this THC, True Hemp Science, into this recovery program, because I have an urban app, and I think I've done just the one to do it. So this is one of the beautiful things about CBD. You're your own test case. You're your own example of how well this can work. So I'm gonna start to dose up here a couple times a day over the next few days, and I'll give you guys some feedback. All you got to do is go to their website, spend $100 or more, type in 15MINS, and you will get the vaunted goodie bag, which means you get an order. Always a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you spend $150 more, you get free shipping. All right, let's talk about Lucille Ball just for the remainder of the show. This will tell you everything you need to know about my grandmother. She loved Lucille Ball. And in fact, she kind of saw herself as Lucille Ball. It's a funny, funny thing to think about. But you know, she's an interesting character in a lot of. She's tough though. Right? I'm going to show you how tough this chart is. First of all, she's a Capricorn rising, and lo and behold, there's the Capricorn moon right in the first house. And people that have Capricorn moons in the first house, they got to grow up real fast, and they're not very sentimental people at all. It's just like do whatever it takes, get it done, right? And sometimes the mother can play a significant role, but not always, because with the moon in the first house, Lucille Ball has to mother herself, right? So I would assume that she was probably doing showbiz at a pretty early age. Now, the complexity of her chart really stems from her 8th house, right? We know she's a Leo sun right there. And then we have Mercury and Virgo. What do we really know about Lucille? I mean, we know she was married to Desi Arnaz. She had 2 successful TV shows, moderately successful movie career. But other than that, we don't know a whole lot about her. Well, a couple of years ago, it came out that Lucille Ball, like many people in Hollywood, was a communist, right? And Desi Arnaz, if I'm not mistaken, is Cuban, right? And I'm not sure what side of the Cuban fence he was hitting on, but that's why you don't find out a lot about Lucille Ball. She has an interesting political past. Now, this woman, I'm telling you right now, she knew exactly what the fuck she was doing all the time. All the time. So she's got Mercury. We know she's got Mercury in Virgo. So she's smart, right? But Mercury in the 8th house is not just smart. It can be very cunning and very, very conniving, right? It's always trying to find the edge on someone, especially in Virgo, right? And we have this trine here with Saturn and Pallas and Mars, which all in Taurus. So she is in pursuit of what? Money. She's very, very into money. And even her marriage, you know, she marries a guy from another country. You know, Venus, 8th house, Sagittarius, you know, trine Mars, trine Saturn. This is a woman who probably grew up pretty poor, but that didn't stop her at all. Like, she was all about the dough, and she was very, very calculated in a lot of ways. So, you know, the world sees Libra, right, up in the midheaven. And what's interesting is that as she becomes really famous, she's in kind of these Libra relationships, right? One is her and Desi, and the other is her and Ethel. So you don't really get out of that kind of Libran sort of connection with the 10th house, right? It's her and Ethel, it's never her and Fred, but her, you know, her and Desi and her and Ethel. And to me, that's very Libran. And I feel like the Libra midheaven makes her a lot more likable than she should be. I don't think she's a very nice person. She's vindictive. She's very, very vindictive. She has a sun in the eighth house that squares Saturn and squares Mars. Do not cross this woman at all. Do not cross her at all. She will take her shit out on you. And again, Virgo is, it's a very calculating sign, right? It uses like analysis and data and does it in a way where, she can scoop up some of these goodies, some of these Taurian goodies. Now, she does have Jupiter in the 10th house. And what's interesting is that her and Desi Arnaz start a production company called Desilu, and they produce all these shows. And one of the shows that Desilu becomes known for is Star Trek. Like, there wouldn't be any Star Trek without Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. So, we can see Jupiter up here in the 10th house in all of its kind of corporate glory. And she's smart. Like, I can tell you right now, she didn't go to college, but this woman's smart. She's got that Mercury sextile to Jupiter, trining all this Taurus down here. Doesn't mind working hard, right? Doesn't mind working hard at all. She's got a heavy, heavy duty amount of Earth for the whole other. Uranus in the first house. So she's goofy, right? She's a little goofy and different. Now, let's talk about her relationship with Desi Arnaz. First of all, you can see it over here, right? Well, first of all, she married a guy from Cuba. So Venus, 9th house, other country, to fit, trines the moon, right? Trines Uranus. So she's having a different kind of level, right? A Latin level. And I think she had Desi Arnaz Jr. He didn't he have a band with Frank Sinatra Jr. and Ian Martin Jr. Didn't they try to do something like that? Anyway, the relationship with Desi is weird, right? Because you have Pluto here. Like, at a certain point, like, I'm sure they had wild, crazy, amphetamine-fueled sex, right? Like, I think that's kind of a given. But I'm not so sure how in love with him she was and vice versa. Because we have this Venus-Pluto square right there. And that's an intense square, right? That takes you into the underworld. And Desi was not the most faithful man, let's put it that way. And you have Neptune over in the 7th house. And back then, people didn't know anything. You say, oh, they have the perfect wife. Look at to them. Oh, is your daughter married like Lawrence Luckinbill, I think? Yeah, there was like both the kids were actors. Oh, they have such a great life. I mean, that's Neptunian projection in the 7th house, but it's Pluto which really, really dominates that house and that square to Venus. And I think what they did is that they came to kind of a mutual understanding that neither of them would fuck the relationship up. Like at a certain point, I think it became just very pragmatic and very much a working relation, which would be consonant with Venus and Virgo. So I'll tell you a story about Desi Arnaz, and this underscores what I'm talking about. When he would have like a 3 or 4 night run at the Copo, and so the Copo was, it was a lounge, it was a club, it was a restaurant, it was a hotel. So he would stay at the Copo, and he'd stay there for 3 or 4 days, whatever the show was. And Desi would do methamphetamine, and he'd be high on meth. I think they called it Benzedrine. Anyway, this is not uncommon in Hollywood. There would be a lineup of women waiting to go through that door to have sex with Desi Arnaz. See, he was a band leader, right? And because he was racing on Benzedrine, he was like a steel jackhammer, right? And he had no connection with any of these women. For him, it was just like it's like an assembly, right? He was just like assembling all these women. They'd just go in and stay for a while, and then they go out in and out. And that's just one story. And you don't think she knew about that? Of course she knew about it. She's got Mercury and Virgo in the 8th house. She's definitely going to hear about that. So I feel like at a certain point, their marriage became very pregnant. Even with that Venus-Uranus trine, it's kind of like, yeah, it's not perfect, but if we split this up, our fortunes are going to take a hit. And I think they kept the band together. I think they were probably intensely enthralled with each other. That's what I would say. And then you have to put up with living with Lucille Ball. That's what happens next. That's what happens. One time, there was this movie called, Auntie Mame. You ever see that movie? I think it was like one of her last go rounds as being sort of this movie star. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. Auntie Mame or just Mame? Hold on. But that's a. Yeah, Lucille Ball, Auntie Mame, 1974. Yeah, this was like her last hurrah for like being a bona fide silver screen star. Right. Right. And one night I came home from hanging out with some friends doing some psychedelic drugs. And I came home and this was playing on TV. So I got to watch this Auntie Mame on TV in an altered state. And I just have to tell you, it was really fucking weird. Really? Notice how she always comes with the power colors too. The reds and the blacks. You always see her in the reds and the blacks. Like those are her, not just in this movie, but other movies as well. Right. I don't know, I find her a little loud and obnoxious. But with her chart, I mean, clearly you could see why. She was no dummy. Let me tell you, man. Lucille Ball knew what the hell she was doing. She was smart, very, very smart. The comedy side of things, it's a whole other chapter to be unwrapped. All right, that's it. That'll do it for today. Thank you all for being here. Mons, thank you for what you do, and appreciate it. What are we? Wednesday, so Thursday, tomorrow, more weather, and then Friday, our guy Kubrick K, coming back, going to break down the magic numbers and take us on a magic carpet ride. All right, you know the drill. Hit like, subscribe if you're into it, and thumbs up. Take care of yourselves. Treat each other well. God bless. And